Hello and welcome to Kansas. It's 90-something degrees out, 3 p.m., sunny, and the entire BMW is blown apart for some reason. So inevitably, the things that I have not touched yet in the BMW have gone wrong, and I have a pretty big vacuum leak coming from underneath the intake manifold somewhere. Initial suspicion is that it is part of the vacuum system for the brake booster, and the intake manifold has to come out for that. So I ordered a bunch of stuff from FCP Euro to take care of other things that can only be taken care of with the intake manifold off. So far, we've taken about a good part of the engine bay apart. We're just about ready to yank off the intake manifold itself. Some interesting things that we have found. The number 6 fuel injector appears to have been replaced. Two of these have their clips on wrong, which is questionable. All the clips are missing from the fuel signal distribution rail thing, and several intake bolts are missing. You can see they double up there, and the top one is missing from those two. So that's, yeah, who even knows what's going on with all that? This is all the hardware we have off so far. I'm not really going to do, I mean, I wasn't really going to show step-by-step how this works. There's a lot better videos for that. I just wanted to share the struggle. Also, my alternator's bad, so we're going to be yanking that out. It does not maintain a consistent 12, 14 volts or whatever. I don't think you can replace the regulator on these later alternators, so I'm just going to go to the junkyard and get another alternator, because a rebuilt one is $450, and I don't have that kind of money. So we're about ready to take off this here manifold of intakes. I think I'll start from the back. Bunch of little bolts like that, or nuts, whatever they're called. I'm sweating so much. Like, it is a zillion degrees. Humidity. Words, it's humid and a zillion degrees out here. But let's get this done. Well, there's a few caveats to getting this off, one of which is a super annoying fuel line bracket on the bottom here. That battery cable thing is looped through the intake for some godforsaken reason. There's a CCV thing that has to come off, and then there is what I believe to be the source of my vacuum leak. Look at that. It's not tight at all, and you can see it's kind of coming off. So I gotta figure out how to get a tool on that stupid worm clamp that's facing the wrong direction. I can take this off and replace it with my nice shiny new one. I haven't even shown you guys all the new parts yet. I guess we'll get there. All right, well, there's a heat advisory in effect, and the heat outside can be officially described as balls. So let's take a look at all the parts I got here. This is all stuff from FCP Euro. We've got new intake gaskets, future video spoiler. We've got, let's see, this is the new sucking jet pump. Yes, it is called a sucking jet pump. This is a Febby. That there, I believe, is the hose that is gone bad, and this is the hose that goes to the brake booster itself, so that goes under the intake. This is a coolant hardline. These go bad all the time. This is a heater return hose hardline. This one actually looks like it's been replaced on the car, but I'm going to replace it anyways. These are all Febby parts for the most part. And then we've got a new grommet for the idle air control valve. Mine had a little bit of shmoo around it when I removed the idle air control valve a while ago, so I thought I'd get a new one of those. And we have an oil pressure switch. I need to go to O'Reilly's and get a Vanos line because I forgot to get one, and they have a decent brand in stock. And I need to go take my alternator out, figure out what tools I need, and go to LKQ and see if I can grab another alternator because of my dodgy regulator. So just put all this back in here for now. Rare view of the inside of my house. Ooh, it's actually clean for once. Amazing how that works. Well, I ended up going to the junkyard yesterday and then kind of gave up after that because it was in the upper 90s, and today was even worse. It hit 100 degrees, but now it's starting to come back down, so I guess we'll head outside and see. Oh, good. A chunk of my tree fell off. Wonderful. Actually, I did a lot more than just going to the salvage yard. I was quite busy yesterday, so let's see. We've got new Rain Automotive Vanos line from Riley's. Oh yeah, I got some factory hose clamps for the intake since I have an aftermarket one there, and then I have injectors. This set is what was in my car. That shiny one there was on cylinder 6. It's actually bad, so that's interesting. This is a set I got from the junkyard. Very cheap. 330 Ci, 2005 I think. It was a facelift, and yeah, these all tested good. So these are what's going to go back in the car. I also got this guy for 60 doll hairs. This is a well, it's an alternator, and as you can see, it is the correct type. Has this plug and no air duct shroud thing, and the neat thing about this one, it was remanufactured in 2018, so that should be a pretty fresh unit right there. Should be good to go. I've got just piles of BMW parts sitting here in the shop. Oh my gosh, that's hot. It's like should be illegal. Yeah, and then I've got to figure out some shenanigans with, I think it doesn't actually come with this hose that goes to the brake booster, so I'll need to take off that clamp and replace it with probably a worm clamp, because that's what I've got. I'm not going to take the throttle body off to remove this portion of the CCV, because effort, but all the rest of the CCV is gone. I think that's about it. We're pretty much good to go here. I'm just going to hit this with a little bit of, I don't know, brake cleaner or something, clean it up a little, throw that back in, and put the belt back on, and then get started. Well, I guess, let's take a look. I need to make a game plan here, so I know what I'm doing. Or at least that I have a vague idea of what I want to do. Wow, these aftermarket roundels are terrible. There's our Vanos line that we're going to need to replace. There's our oil pressure switch that needs replaced. And then there's these coolant lines. The upper one looks like it may have been replaced once already, but no matter, I'm going to replace it anyway. There's a lot of stuff in the way here. Okay, what are we dealing with? It goes up in there somewhere. That looks super fun to get to. Alrighty then, we've got the Vanos line and the oil pressure switch out. I think I'm going to leave them out of the way while I do these coolant lines. I also took the rest of the shroud off of this here. It had been coming apart, so I'm going to wrap all that in some good electrical tape. And I did a quick little brake cleaner restoration of the alternator here. It cleaned up pretty well, spins pretty nice, so I think that thing's gonna be good to go back in as soon as we get these coolant lines done. So I need to go find something to catch the coolant, because I'm tired of buying $40 of coolant every time I crack the system open and forget to drain it first. All right, we're almost done taking stuff off the car. Bolt there, nut there, another bolt here. Oh wait, did I mention that one? I don't know. Oh, also, this isn't the oil pressure switch. The oil pressure switch is right here. And then I wrapped this up in some nice electrical tape. But oh, and I drained the coolant into a gallon jug with the side cut out of it. That should be enough for us to not have any super major leaks when we take this apart. Well, there's always more coolant, which is now all over everywhere. What really sucks about this job is that it kind of touches every system in the car, oil, coolant. So when I put it back together, I'm gonna be so paranoid about all the little smells that I might hear. Anyway, the coolant pipes are out. I got extremely lucky and it didn't break off inside there like they almost always do. But it was an absolute bastard to get out and dinged up my elbow. Look at that, I left an impression. It's not bleeding, just hurts. Because look at that O-ring. Also, I don't know, I think this might be factory, this lower one. This one's been replaced. I can't imagine this is like that from the factory, but who knows. So we've got our shiny new parts here, and I'm just going to put those back in the same way the old ones came out, with a little bit of lube, aka some coolant, wiped on those O-rings to make sure they seat properly, and we don't have that problem again in 5 years when this job needs redone. I think that's roughly the lifespan. I don't know. Probably more like every 100,000 miles or so this needs done, which is pretty reasonable. People like to talk crap on these engines for needing parts cycled through so quickly because they don't consider 230 horsepower to be all that significant. But keep in mind, in 2003, 230 horsepower from a 3-liter engine that still gets 25 miles a gallon on the highway, that's pretty impressive. And at this price point, $60,000 car in today's money, that's not bad. So it kind of, you know, I'm not saying these are the greatest things since sliced bread, but it's definitely not a low buck car, and you can't expect to spend low buck car prices, effort, etc. This is not a Honda Accord. It's very German. So I think I'm going to put these coolant hoses in, and then probably the alternator, and then we'll go from there and just start filling this engine bay back up with stuff. It's kind of amusing how empty the engine bay is, and how obvious, you know, the tilt of the 3-liter straight 6. Just like the Chrysler Tower of Power, German leaning Tower of Power. Well, quite a lot has happened. We've got our nice new shiny Vanos line, wrapped that hose, or wrapped those that bundle of wires there that was just chilling. New pipes. All right, I got the alternator all mounted up, torqued down, and the belt is even on. So now it's time to move on to intake things, and I've got to try and figure out what my plan of attack is here. So if we go. You can see here at the back, these are the unused vacuum ports that I've capped in the past. Looks like all my caps are still doing all right. We're going to need to pull the idle air control valve out. So I guess I'll do that next, because I've got a new grommet for that guy. Just when I took the idle air control valve out a while ago to clean it, I noticed that there was a suspicious amount of, there was like some silicone around this grommet, which goes way back in there for some reason. It's a very odd looking part. So we're just going to yank that out again and pull that grommet and stick this new one in, because hey, might as well, it's cheap. There we go, a little bit of vice grip action, got it. Put the new one in here. There's a little tab that it lines up with. Yeah. Easy as pie. And this guy just goes right back in there somehow. Got my bracket back on. Got my Evap line run. I don't love the fact that this doesn't have a clamp on it, but it was that way from the factory, and it's pretty on there. And then there's the sucking pumpy thingy, which is all mounted up. So just throwing those new gaskets in. This guy is ready to go in the car, and I've got to remember how all this crap routes around it. Oh boy. Looking forward to that. Shiny new intake gaskets. If you're curious how long this car has been sitting, about that long. Even though as I do this, I'm actually editing a video where I was working on this a month ago. So to get this back on, just got to make sure the, let's see, what is that? The fuel rail and the fuel electronic distribution thing are behind the intake manifold. Thread this through the intake manifold for whatever reason, and make sure that we don't get caught up in anything. This goes to the F connector. Yeah, everything else just kind of goes back there. This was my halos that I don't even have anymore. I'm not sure why that wiring still exists. What is this, ABS? I don't know. Whatever, these two, gotta go under those, and everything else just kind of falls into place. It's done. Here's all our old parts, our old Vanos line, oil pressure switch, our old sucking pump, our old pipes, old gaskets, old grommet, and the old alternator, and the remnants of the CCV system. Got a bit of a hiccup there. I'm very, very, very excited for where this car is going to be here shortly, but as it is, I think I am going to call it a night because I have editing to go do. and some work stuff to catch up on. So I will see you all tomorrow. I think it's supposed to be 2 degrees cooler. Instead of 102, it'll only be 100. Well, we are getting tantalizingly close to a first start here. Intake manifold is on and bolted down. All of the electrical stuff is connected except for stuff that's not here yet. Electrical box is bolted down. Let's see, the sucking jet pump is plumbed in. I've got all good injectors in the rail, so that's ready to go ahead and maneuver. Oh, and I kind of had it backwards. These little clips go on the upper detent on these injectors, not the lower ones. So a majority of these were wrong, and that's why they pulled out. They did not stay with the rail when I pulled them out at first. So there we go. That is the injectors. So bolt that down, bolt down the connector, and then it's let's see, put in a little wall there. Start plumbing the intake. Well, look at that. The car is back together. The sun has set. I have one bolt left over. I'm pretty sure that that's a redundant bolt for one of the coolant pipes. It'll be fine without it. First start time. See how upset this thing is gonna be about everything I've just done to it. God, I haven't sat in here in forever. That's gonna have to prime a few times. Oh yeah, Subaru.
Sounds great, Jake.
Figure yourself out. Ooh. Oh, that's sounding pretty good. It's a pretty smooth idle too.
Hello, it is Jake from the future. I've been driving the car and yeah, none of that fixed it. I have massive fuel trims and I still get lean codes and it idles like dookie. So we still have issues apparently, even though I can't really find any vacuum leaks. I did find a vacuum leak. The O-ring at the base of the oil dipstick tube was straight up torn in half. So I put a new one on there and tested that again for leaks. Nothing. Can't find any leaks whatsoever. I think the PCV valve for my Chevy PCV is actually bad out of the box, so I may get another PCV valve or I may look into doing something else entirely. Either way, I guess you'll find out in the next video with this super good BMW that doesn't ever have issues. Thanks for watching.